Continuing our coverage of the D-Day 50th anniversary, soldiers who served in the U.S. Merchant Marine may not have gotten the publicity paratroopers and ground forces enjoyed, but their contributions to the war effort were invaluable nonetheless. Their ships carried troops, weapons, tanks, food, cigarettes, and perhaps most vital, the mail. Robert ONeil is a retired U.S. Merchant Marine with over 20 years service. On D-Day, he was stationed on the Abiel Foster, which ferried troops from England to France. Robert ONeil also is the father of CNN's own Carolyn ONeil, and he joins us now from CNN Center. Mr. ONeil, thanks a lot for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
As this anniversary of D-Day approaches, what is your predominant thought, your predominant emotion?
Well, I'm very proud of the men that served there and for the job they did, and I think the whole world has them to thank.
What was your role in D-Day and the days leading up to D-Day?
I was administration officer on the Abiel Foster, I guess responsible for supplies and crewing of the ship and everything that would go on board the ship, and reporting to the captain if I had any problems.
And how close did you actually get to Normandy?
We were escorted right up to the beach to about 50 feet of water by a wooden-hulled minesweeper, and thence we let the crews go over the side from our ship into cargo nets and whatever. And I like to say just then that some of the men had slipped, fallen, dropped their guns and whatever, and I said to the captain, what are we going to do now? And the captain said to me, he was 26 years old, he said, I don't know, I've never been in a war before.
Did you lose any men?
No, we did not, and we watched our men going ashore, and they seemed to make it okay, and then they kind of disappeared over the sand dunes.
And what would you say was the emotion of the men as they went ashore?
I think it was very, very high. It was like having the best team going into a big football game, and you kind of felt you had the edge and you were going to win, and they were anxious to get in there and get it over with.
And did you share that spirit?
I think we all did, yes.
D-Day is pointed to now as the turning point in the war. Did you folks who were involved in the operation have that sense that it was that important?
I'd say very definitely we felt if we get the foothold there into Normandy and then get into Cherbourg, the port of Cherbourg, back up the troops with more supplies, and which happened, and they could just keep going forward and eventually win the war.
Now, Mr. ONeil, you brought in some photographs. Maybe we can take a look at those, and as we do, why don't you explain to us what we're looking at? Okay. I presume you're one of these fellows.
Yeah, that's me then, with the chief engineer aboard the vessel, a super nice guy, and I wish him well if he happens to be watching.
Okay, let's look at the next one.
Okay.
You're here again?
Yeah, having a cup of coffee with the gun crew back aft on our big 3-inch gun, which fortunately we never had to use.
And I think we have a picture of your ship.
That's not my ship. This is taken from our ship, looking out over the water. This is going over there at night on one of the other ships, and that's what it kind of looked like that night, going over. This is coming into the harbor at Utah Beach, and a lot of debris and ships and other wreckage was there. You kind of had to skirt your way around to get in close. Another shot of the beach. And you can see the smoke in the foreground. The firing was still going on about 15 miles away. You could hear the guns. This is one of our gun crew. He'd just taken a little practice there, and we took his picture as he was getting himself warmed up. He was not shooting at anything. And another member, he could be cleaning the gun there. We expected the Nazis to have the Air Force out, but we never saw any. This is just another ship going over. You can see the barrage balloon above. That's to prevent planes coming in and strafing the ship. Again, we had a nice ride over and no aircraft. That's our ship's cat. We had a cat on board, and it had little kittens. And so that's our shipboard family. And the crew, this is a nightly thing there. The men, they're all young men. They're not hurting each other. But we do have these here big gloved, and they have boxing down below and enjoy themselves in that sport at that time. We had a number of, after a month, that were German prisoners, and there were some that were put to work on the ships toiling heavy logs and stuff like that ashore, and then they were taken back ashore to their prison encampment.
Have you talked about D-Day much with your children, and if so, what have you said to them about D-Day?
Quite honestly, I never talked very much about it. It's a thing I tried to forget over the years because there were some terrible things I saw when we first went in there, like bodies floating around and stuff like that. And I just kind of forgot about it, but this kind of awakens old memories, and you know, I can hardly remember what happened yesterday, never mind 50 years ago.
Robert O'Neill, thanks a lot for coming in and joining us
Thank
tonight.
you for having me.
Appreciate your reminiscences.
Okay, thanks.
And we'll be back in just a moment.